Hey guys, how's it going? This is Kris. This is the second part of the video leading on from the last one, so just doing my catch up. So from week 63 last week on our views on gender variation. I don't know who thought of this topic, but I absolutely love that it's been put in to have a chat about. I could ramble about this topic for hours and hours on end. So I'm going to sort of try and just put a couple of things out there and hopefully not go on too much of a tangent. um, Gender variations, yeah, like I guess there's so many different angles that you could discuss about this, but something that I've realised really since being on T is that there is a real um, like spectrum, just like there is with sexuality. Of a lot of people are like very, very small amount of people are like truly heterosexual and truly homosexual, and then there's bisexual in the middle. And most people go somewhere along that spectrum of sitting somewhere along that. And gender can be thought of in the same way. In one sense, it can be thought of like that somewhere along a spectrum. So a lot of people might feel that some days trans people might feel some days that generally they will feel that they're always at least between like the gender queer marker and the uh, strictly 100% male gender marker. Somewhere along there I've found most trans guys feel, but there's a big variance between how someone feels, and it can change as well. Some days some people might wake up and feel more masculine, and other days feel more genderqueer. I know I feel like that, and I know a lot of other people who do. So gender variations, yeah, in one way you can assess it, I think, is on that spectrum. Another way that other guys I've heard talk about is a lot of the time feeling that, there's different components of who we are as an individual. There's our physical self, our emotional self, our spiritual self. There's all different levels of us, and some people can feel that some components of them are male traits, and other components are more female. For me personally, if I were to assess myself on that, I would say physically I feel 100% male. I don't relate at all to being physically female, but because of the fact I was raised a female for the first 4 years of my life, there's things that have been embedded into me, whether I like that or not, that are part of who I am. And a lot of those traits are female. A lot of the responses that I did learn genetically wise, like biologically, and also with my environment was, female, to be raised to be female. And I think those traits stick with us a lot of the time being trans. I'm not saying for everyone here, but a lot of the time they do. And I think that's why we can really relate to gender not being so black and white. Um, yeah, and so some people I know feel, physically male, but emotionally feel, or socially feel female, or spiritually feel female, or something like that. So I find that really interesting as well. And it's been interesting going along this journey just to see which parts of my life fit into different sort of gender boxes and labels and stuff, if you're going to label um, at all. Yeah, I think there can be a purpose for labeling, but when people aren't able to see beyond that label, I think that's when there's damage to it, I guess. Which, yeah, is the other thing I was going to say about like what I guess with gender variations. Then we get down to like what defines male, what defines female in the first place. Um, you know, a person could physically look male, like being trans, feel 100% emotionally, spiritually, physically in every way male, but they don't have a penis, and yet there might be a bio guy who, obviously has a penis, but is very feminine in their emotional, in their like the way that they feel emotionally and present themselves physically. And so, yeah, like I think it comes down to, well, what is defined as male and female, and I think that's a tricky one that I don't know can really even be answered maybe sometimes. Um, Yeah, and I guess in relation to gender as well, like with our relationship with our body parts as well, I think that plays a part with gender, with how we feel about that. Hence, a lot of guys, wanting to transition and have chest surgery, hysterectomies and stuff like that. My girlfriend, for one, she was always very much straight down the line, the way that she used to think. But you know, now we joke around because she's very much like physically identifies as female, but her personality is like, it's more like a bloke half the time than what I am. You know, she naturally uses the right side of her brain with you know, like with being logical about things straight up. She doesn't really base anything on emotion and stuff a lot of the time. I'm really good at fixing things, like all the sort of stereotypical male traits, and that's, my girlfriend's a lot like, she's a lot better at half that stuff than what I am. So that's interesting because, yeah, like for me, I physically identify 100% male, and she physically identifies 100% female. But when it comes to elements of our personality, it's very variant, you know. And she doesn't label herself genderqueer or anything like that. So yeah, there's so many people in society that have mixed traits. I think it's just everyone's so used to sticking with the label of male and female that they don't learn to think beyond those traits. One of my best mates identifies as, like, uses female pronouns and everything like that. He's fine with having a female body and all that stuff, but absolutely can't handle like having the insides as a female, and really badly wants a hysterectomy, and that really messes her head up with her gender, because she just feels that it absolutely shouldn't be there. So yeah, and I guess, you know, being trans, you meet a lot of people who have these sort of what they feel comfortable with about their body, what they don't, and how they define gender is really different, and it can be totally different based on you know, different cultures, different countries, like different ways that we use language with it. It's yeah, I love the topic of gender variation, and I love meeting people that are gender variant. I find them interesting and find that they're more open-minded sort of people. If you can learn to have more of an awareness of gender that is beyond what society teaches us, and I think you have the capacity to have a lot more of an open mind about other things in life, and that's beautiful. Like, it's good to be able to challenge ourselves and think beyond what, you know, society's box is, that is what is taught to us. Yeah, and I find it real fascinating. Um, just going through my notes here, I just get confused if I get off track. Um, yeah, I guess that's about it. So yeah, for me with my gender, like I said, you know, if we're talking about on a spectrum, I guess I feel like, um, I don't know, that I'm probably in between. If we've got like genderqueer and, you know, hyper masculine or whatever, then I'm probably halfway in between that, I guess. Um, Generally halfway in between that. But yeah, like I said, like if it's based on physical compared to emotional or spiritual and all that sort of thing, then I think physically I identify male, emotionally I can connect with both, I think, and spiritually is not so much something that fits me so much, but I've heard it that it's fit other guys. But yeah. Anyway, that's my thing on gender variance. Yeah, cool topic. I'm really glad it got brought up, and I will post hopefully tomorrow to get back on track now with the weekly updates. Okay, hope you guys are having a good weekend. If your weekend started yet, it's a really beautiful day here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.